Yo, there we go. Oh,
Hello.
hello everyone. Oh, yeah. Happy Monday. Today is in fact Monday. How's it going, Trevor?
It's going pretty well. Yeah, got my smoothie
Oh
and
yeah.
coffee.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
about as well equipped as I could hope to be right now.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I ran out of my C4 on the goes, which is like my go-to drink, so I've like concocted my own C4 on the go into this bottle here, and it's working. It's getting the job done, but I do miss it.
The
Yeah,
witch's
and
brew.
yeah, the witch's brew, exactly. So I had to kind of customize it, but this is working.
Cool.
hmm
Awesome. Do you have a good did you have a good Mother's Day over there?
Yeah, we did have a good Mother's Day. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I made like a fun video card. I tried to think of like, because we can't get out. So I was like trying to think of something fun that I could make. And then I was gonna like make a card by hand, but like I had like nowhere I could go where, there's like we're all trapped in the house together. So I just made a video card. So I just like used my video editing skills and put those to good use. Yeah, and so we made a fun video with me and the kids, and then like a bunch of memories, like flashback stuff. It was really neat. So that was cool. Good
Nice.
Mother's Day.
How did you deliver the video card?
So just like I just posted it. So I just made it and then posted it on Instagram and like tagged her
Oh,
in it and all that
shoot.
fun stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool, cool.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
nice, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was awesome. I really liked it. She really loved it. So it was a win-win.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's all that matters.
Yeah, between that and the macaroons, and it was a good day, I guess.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah.
Are those like coconut macaroons?
Just like it
Is
was
that
all
different?
different kinds, but oh, so no, like
Oh,
macaroons, like the French
like
cookies, like
French
the
ones. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
got you. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Love.
yeah. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Uh, yeah, I got to go out on a couple of really nice hikes
Nice.
and um, worked on this app that I've been working on for the last few weeks called
Playback?
Playback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that it's I launched the this like new version. I guess it's like the third full rewrite of the thing, but this one is really slick, and I'm really happy with the result. Um, and so on Saturday I launched it, and then yesterday and today I'm gonna be wrapping up like doing all the payment logic with it. So hooking it up
Nice.
with the Stripe API and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I loved watching your stream on the image drag and drop effect, kind of like GitHub.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool.
yeah. It's like that's one of my favorite little features of this thing. It's pretty slick.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was my weekend for the most part.
nice. Something else I did this weekend, which is also our first bit of topic, is I don't know, but if there's any avid Orbit watchers, you might notice that the layout is slightly different this week. And so we're no longer little chat bubbles. We're like, got much bigger video profiles. Some things have shifted around. And one of the really neat things about this is that the outside, like the background frame, the title, our Twitter handles, and the show logo, all that stuff is part of a React app now. And the chat as well. That's a React component, and that's being pulled in and or fed through GraphQL subscriptions. So I figured since I've rebuilt the scenes for OBS in React and GraphQL, it'd be a fun first topic to actually cover.
That sounds awesome. I'd love to get into it.
Yeah,
It does look
it
really nice. I like the layout changes. Honestly, I think it's all really taking advantage of our screen real estate even better than before.
Yeah, it's definitely using up as much space as possible, and the follows will pop up in between like the title and the chat. Um, and the chat is powered now by GraphQL and React, which is really awesome. We get fun little animations now, so whenever there's like a chat message, it animates in as opposed to just showing up, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just really cool. And so this is yeah, this is something that I thought would be really fun to go over because this opens up a lot of doors for a lot more fun activities. Like if we get a raid, we can listen on that webhook and do like something really cool and fun, like confetti or something or whatever we want to do. Possibilities are endless.
Cool.
But yeah, yeah. So let's dive in and check it out. So, um, I guess we'll go through VS Code because like it's code, and VS Code is kind of the best thing. This is I will link the repo. This is open source. There's no reason for it not to be. So anyone can really take the base of this and then just change some environment variables and run it for their own site. So a couple things that we're doing here is we're running an Express server. So we've got Apollo, Server Express, and Express as like two of our main dependencies. We then also have to do some interesting things because we're doing subscriptions. So we need to, but we also need to use the Express API, like API routes, to set up our webhooks for Twitch, which we'll get into. But anyway, so it kind of makes the setup config a bit more complicated than it would be just for normal. Like if you were just using, like ideally I would just use the Express or sorry the Apollo server by itself. But hey, oh, we just got rated. See, like this would be a perfect opportunity. Oh, I forgot the other alerts are on still. That's so funny. So they popped up. Let me disable that alert box. Yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah, Apollo, let's go. Yes, so I love seeing the chat actually work. Thank you for the raid, Dom. Yeah, it's much appreciated. I'm just
Good
talking about
looking.
how we, yeah, good looking out. Just talking about how we built this scene that you're seeing using React in GraphQL. So we've rebuilt it, so the scene's a bit different from last week. I'm on, hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining. I am loving the subtle animation on the chat whenever someone drops in on
Hmm.
the screen. It's really nice. That's funny. All right.
Looks nice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me go through this. I don't want to get too deep into it, but we have a pretty simple schema. We've just got a couple things, right? So we've got chat message, a subscription message. Oh, look at that. So it needs a little work, but the follows are coming in. Yeah, so that animation looked a little wonky, but okay. Yeah, so let's see. So then we set up our resolvers. So first we create our instance of PubSub. We create the app. We get that stuff. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, isn't that awesome? I am using Framer Motion. Yep. So
Oh, shout
yeah.
out to
So
that.
yeah. Shout out to Framer Motion. It was very easy to implement. We'll get to the client next. Right now, I'm gonna take a look at the server stuff. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's see. And if you look, like the chat looks just like the chat pretty much that you embed from like Streamlabs or something like that. So it's pretty cool. All right. So we set up our server. Then we set up our chatbot client. So here you need like a particular chatbot token. You could probably just create one OAuth token. What's up, yo? Yeah, thank you, Dom. Thank you for the love. Much appreciated. Yeah, and then yeah, I don't have at uses set up in for this channel yet. I need to set that up. But we could do that now, exactly. So now that we have client on message, we can essentially do whatever we want. Right now, what I'm doing is taking just the message and just pub subbing it, just sending it down the subscription, not really changing anything in between.
What are you using for PubSub?
Just the
Right.
default pub sub that comes from GraphQL subscriptions library.
Oh, cool, cool. I've never used GraphQL subscriptions, so I
Gotcha.
didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah, that's the easiest implementation. I'm only standing up one instance. I don't need to like have like a pub sub system that's smart enough to like handle scaling, whether that be, like horizontal scaling. This is just enough to just pass the messages while on stream, and follows and stuff like that. So for now, I think it's like totally acceptable. But yeah, it works. It was like the quickest implementation essentially that I could spin up. So that's what PubSub
Well,
is. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so then we just have 3 subscriptions. And then right now we will be able to query for the title. I haven't added this yet, but we're going to add so you can query for the title and query for the streamers and stuff like that. So all of that will be just like when you start the app, you load the page, it should automatically pull in the title from Twitch, which will be primo. Yeah, so we create the server, we create our chat client. Here's where we pub sub these chat responses back, and then these 4 functions, or I guess endpoints, API endpoints, are responsible for handling the webhook flow. The way that Twitch webhooks work is very interesting. You make a post request out, you say what you want to subscribe to, and you give a callback URL. And that callback URL is where they will post to with those webhook responses. So, and then the way that it challenges, like it checks to verify it's you, is first it does a GET request to your post webhook endpoint, and then just wants you to respond with their challenge. So if the response can respond with the challenge, then it will start posting webhooks. And so, yeah, so for follows, we then get the from name here, and we publish it again down to the client. So it's just using GraphQL subscriptions all the way down. Here's where we're setting up our subscription server, where we're actually running it. So this ws.listen, this is like really the meat and potatoes. This is where we start everything up. So we're creating our subscription server, and then here we are getting the whatever channel that we put into the environment variable. So whichever channel that you want to listen to, as long as your token will allow you to get that channel's info, you're good. And then we create our callback. We set up our subscription to follows, and then our subscription to subscriptions. And so like another fun one to add here will be raids. So when Dom raided, we could have done something like really fun, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
yes, we will.
Yeah, but it's all set up, and that's it. It's just this main, it's an async function so that I can use async await. So we're just calling this at the bottom to kick it all off. But this is it. That's the whole server. That's everything
Wow.
that's running in the background.
Looks lovely, Kurt. Really
Yeah,
nice job, man. It's really succinct and yeah, just does everything to do to get the job done. And it's really
that's it.
interesting to hear about how the like the Twitch webhooks API works.
That was fun to figure out. That took a lot of effort this weekend, but I got it. It was cool. Yeah. And so, yeah, got that working, and that was fun to test. It's really hard to test. So what you do, like what I did was I just for channel, I would put in like a really popular streamer's channel, and then it would just be like follow, 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 follow. It was crazy. Yeah.
Cool. And then
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is the front end worth going through on stream as well?
It is, and so we'll flip over to the front end so that we can see what's happening there. I definitely think it's worth a quick investigation. So
I
what we're doing, yeah. So what we're doing is this is an app that I created with Create React App. So it's not Gatsby. I was doing Gatsby at first, but with the WebSocket connections and everything else, there was just like a lot of extra config for something that really we don't need to generate statically ever for anything. So I said, let's not do that. Simplest path, we'll just use Create React App. So in the index, this is where, again, most of the stuff happens. So we're just importing fonts, some font families, emotion for styling, so we can use the CSS prop, the Apollo configuration. So all this is coming out of, I'm using client 3.0. So we just pull everything basically we need out of there. There are 2 other utilities that we need. This one is actually still technically included in the same client, but it's not exported directly, if that makes sense. And then we have our WebSocket link. And then we're creating our links, spinning up um, like our master or our, I guess, first link that will then decide if it's a query and what it should do as far as whether to use HTTP or WebSockets. In memory cache. So all this is like the same. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so this is an environment variable, but this is the same repo, but the front end is deployed on Netlify and the server's deployed on render.com. But it's in the same
Sweet.
repo.
Was that
Yeah.
pretty easy to set up? Like
Oh yeah,
you can
it's
use
so easy.
Netlify like base directory. I know that's an
Yep.
option.
Yep.
Does
So I just
render give you
they
similar
give
kind
you like you have basically free reign with your like install and start instructions and all of that fun jazz. So it was just like cd server yarn, cd server like yarn
Oh,
start.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So it was very simple, very easy to do, and it works lovely. And so then yeah, so now they're both running on their individual platforms, and we can connect to the React app server domain. So that's like whatever you specify it to be. Yeah, and then this needs to be fixed. This should be HTTPS in production. I'll fix that.
Ooh.
Okay. So enough of that. So we get into the app, and what we have here is we just have reach router, right? So when you actually render app, it's a router, and then we have scenes that you can render, and scenes are like meant to be the bigger picture, like the background and where everything will go. And so, like I said, for us, for the current scene, what we're looking at right now, that's like the orbit logo and the blue background and the repeated tile pattern, the title. We can actually just go look. So we're on orbit. We're on path orbit. So if we come in here, I mean, it's just some standard JSX. So we're just saying like use up 100% of the viewport width and height, background image and background size. Um, and then so everything is like flexed out now. So like just getting the layout was a lot easier because it's just using flex. And so whatever
Yeah.
resolution you resize to, it should all stay in the exact same place, which is really cool. And yeah, and so then the fun part, and this is what I'll wrap up with, is that the chat and the follows are not embedded into the scene. Like if we go down to the bottom of orbit, they're not here. Right now, it's just the title and the streamers. And what I'm doing is they're actually exported as their own routes, chat and follows, and I load those into OBS as their own scenes. So like I could move chat and put it on top of the video, or so
Okay.
so we're not locked to the background. Like you can put them into
Perfect.
any scene that you want. Yeah, so they're their own scenes, and then they're just styled in such a way, or sorry, overlays, where they will take up 100% of the width and height of like whatever container you render them into, if that makes sense. And then
Yeah, that does.
yeah, and everything is styled to be like responsive. So like if you put it into a big space, it will make the text bigger or the image bigger and all that stuff. So it's very cool. But yeah, that's it. Um,
So you can just resize like the elements in OBS and it'll all just reflow
ex-
automatically.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So if I change the width and height,
Very cool.
it would get bigger. Like if I made the window for chat way wider, the font size would get bigger as well. Yeah.
Cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is really really cool, man. And like, and you pointed this out, but just the fact that we're using Flexbox to lay these things out means that it takes a lot of that like pixel alignment stuff out of
Specificity.
our hands, which is
Yes.
great because that I know that's one of the frustrating things when you're trying to like build a complicated layout in OBS. It's great that they have like align tools, align left, align center, and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, like just being able to rely on CSS to align and layer content out in a predictable manner is really, really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, it makes it a lot easier to recreate like scenes, like copy them over and make small changes because another beautiful thing about OBS is that if you create a source, you can reuse it, but the problem is that you can't make like minor tweaks to it. It changes it everywhere. Whereas like
Yeah.
here we can just copy orbit into mission briefing, change the background color and the icon, and now it's like a whole new scene and we just load up the new path. But like, we don't have to worry about changing the title there, affecting something else. So it's kind of nice. So we're still getting reuse, just at like a lower level, I guess.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
What are you using for the styling solution? I noticed a CSS
Yeah,
problem
so that's
is
emotion. So we're using the JSX Pragma to get that because we're using Create React App. So to get that to compile properly, so instead of importing React, you
yeah.
import JSX. Yeah, and then yeah, we're just using emotions. So now we get a CSS prop, and we can do media queries. So like if you look down here, this is how we're handling like scaling up font sizes. And I'm gonna take this a step further and move it towards like something like rem or m, so that we can do in respect to like more I guess, improved responsive styling because right now it's pretty much just like hard coded at pixels. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. But it's very cool. It's a great start. We're using it. We'll do it live, and it's working. So it just, if anything, proves to me I was able to do this in a weekend. It took me like weeks to get OBS set up properly. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that's it. I think that's a wrap on that. Unless there's any questions from the chat. But yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to write these custom hooks too. I might just like, I don't know, export some of this stuff. I think would be useful to anyone else who's streaming who wants to like like these hooks and some of the overlays would make sense on their own, like completely um, packaged, I guess would be the word. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. As of right now, it's all on GitHub. Let me get the repo. And anyone can go do. Oh, and I thought it would be fun to show. Like here it is. Here's the frame inside the frame because this is just Netlify. So this is me loading the source in the browser.
Okay, here we go. So meta, man.
Very
Whoa.
meta. Yeah. And then watch. So then
Hey,
I
what's
could
up,
say
Rudy?
like,
Nice to
yo.
see you in chat.
So then if I switch to mission briefing, now it's on the mission briefing one. It's pretty wild, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So let me go to
Look,
GitHub
man.
and grab that. What was it? Apollo. Here we go. GraphQL stream scenes. Yeah. Boom. Cool.
Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah.
Feels
So,
like the future for sure.
huh?
This feels like the future of stream layouts.
Oh, yeah. And I started thinking about this, and a lot of people brought up a lot of good points. Is that this is already how a lot of streaming platforms work. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was all news to me. But yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do we
Um,
have?
Yeah, yeah. So next up, we've got something that I thought was pretty interesting. Here is Facebook. Some developers from Facebook who worked on the Facebook.com rebuild have released an engineering blog post, and they use Relay GraphQL. So I figured it was worth a mention here, and definitely worth checking out. But yeah, so essentially, this article covers. I just skimmed through it, and I'm not going to read through it a ton here. Um, but yeah, they talk about the lessons they learned re-architecting. There's a lot of interesting information about CSS. Oh, hey, it worked. The follower animation worked. That looked good.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, cool, 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 cool. I'm so happy. Yee, 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 yee. And that is also a React component. It's an overlay. It's using Framer motion. Oh, and Josh Comier's use sound was like key in the integration in that. So, um, Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, thank you for sharing the link. I was going to share
Yeah,
that too.
for sure. Thank you for the follow, Vinya Shaker. Vinya
Yes.
Shack.
Yeah, thank you for the follow.
Very
Much
much.
appreciated. And yeah, that just shows that it is working. So it's the webhooks are working for follows. So the
Mhm.
service is it's all connected. So which is very cool. I'm like super excited for this because to me that was better than the previous following thing. Vignesh, hey, awesome.
Oh, okay, okay, got you.
Awesome, very cool. Yeah, so sorry, I got kind of derailed. Really cool stuff about CSS and what they're using. So they're using this Stylex, which I've never heard of before. Um,
Mm.
yeah, this is why I love things like this. By using REMs, they're respecting user-specified defaults, which is cool. And then yeah, so like they basically this reminds me of class names in some ways.
Yeah, it does kind of.
Yeah, it's wild. And styles, what gets returned is a function. And then you pass in the names of the things that are in there that you want to be deployed. Didn't get the links in your chat. Oh, that's interesting. But
Which links? I guess.
yeah, which links? But
Like,
you're getting
you-
the other links? Here, let me try this. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, it might have jumped in later, and so they might not be there. Let us know if you don't get that link, because that would be interesting. Okay. Um, okay. So,
I've heard of Twitch chat having this behavior before. So I'm not. It's not the most surprising thing I've ever heard, but you definitely hate to hear it.
yeah, let us know if that persists. It could be a setting that I have. Okay, you just got the one from. So it could just be. That's interesting. We'll have to take a look. But as long as you're getting those, good, good, good. SVGs in JavaScript, something else that I thought was really cool. All their icons, they've just turned into like straight up SVG React components.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and they're just rendering raw SVGs. I
That's it.
see. Cool.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
not imported from like a file anywhere. It's not used as an image source. Like the React component is the SVG.
Yeah. I don't know
So
how I
it's
feel about that. See, like one of the reasons I love using a tool like I prefer SVGR.
okay.
Um, uh, I'm gonna link in chat to the SVGR repo. This, in my opinion, is like the SVG to React component sort of set of
Got it.
tools. Hey, YG Dev, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, thank you. Cool.
SVGR, they give you different tools depending on what you're using, whether it's Webpack or, if you want to just turn SVGRs into React components programmatically, um, they give you the tools to do that. And the benefit of doing this is that you get to keep the source SVG intact. So I can open it up in Sketch, make edits, save it, and then alt tab back to my Chrome
Yeah.
window, and SVG is updated. When you have the SVG markup just like rendered raw in a React component, you lose all that editing capability. Um,
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because like if you're using this tool, then you can take SVGs from anywhere and just convert
mhm.
them, like you're saying, and then that gets updated. Whereas once you're in React code now, like unless you either have a system for doing something similar, you have to update it in code as opposed
Yeah, and
to
see the thing is unless maybe there's some like super SVG geniuses out there who can like look at an SVG
and
path
update a
attribute.
path.
And, or even like can anybody look at an SVG path and actually tell me what that path is doing? Like I
No.
know that these paths do follow a specific
Yes.
syntax, I guess, if you want to call it that. Like there's
Yep.
certain keywords and numbers and commas and the combination of them represents your intention with that path, and
Yeah.
that's cool. But like to me, when I see a SVG path, especially one that's complicated, um, that's not something that I would want to edit in code. And especially, you can imagine seeing a React component. When I see a React component, I look at that as something that that I should be able to parse and make edits to, by writing JSX.
Yeah.
Um, SVGs are kind of in a different category where I would prefer to use an SVG editor like Sketch to change one, not like change props on a React component. So that's just, yeah, that's why I like the the you know separation between SVGs and React. And I notice in chat, YG and Vignesh um, feel a similar way, it seems. So that's
Yep.
cool to hear.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all of that. That makes a lot of sense to me. But I do think that there are some cool things and some interesting benefits that you get. And at the end of the day, it seems like with those systems, you still end up with a React component that is an SVG, right? Is that?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
it'll take the source SVG and then just um, and like from my perspective, I could care less if it's a React component. Like the point is that the SVG the end result that I'm looking for is that an SVG tag gets rendered in my HTML.
yes, yes.
You
That's fair. Yeah, that's all you care
know,
about.
and however it wants to go about that, then that's cool. But yeah, that's like the desired end result. And just to touch on for a second, the reason why you want to have an SVG rendered as markup in your HTML is that you can affect the fill and stroke properties of an inline rendered SVG, but you
Yeah,
cannot affect the stroke or fill or any of these SVG properties of something that you just use as the source of an image tag, for
right,
example.
right.
So
Yeah, you lose a
that's
lot of
where.
power. Animations you can't do if it's in an
Oh yeah,
image tag.
exactly.
Hmm, very cool. Fun little side note. Uh, using Get or React in general, like using, let's just say JavaScript and CSS for scenes in OBS, has really sparked some interest from a lot of people. And Jason Lengstorff updated an animation that he has on his to using Canvas, which is wild, and I never thought about. But like that means like WebGL is available. Like you could make overlays that make
Yep.
use of WebGL. Like I could embed little games in here or something. Like you never like anything. Like it's just pretty cool.
Whoa.
What about with subscriptions? You could embed chat powered games where people in the chat control the game.
Yeah.
How wild would that be?
Whoa. Yeah. Twitch plays Apollo.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just pretty neat. I just like having all these doors open. So sorry to jump back onto something we already covered, but as you can tell, I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, so incremental code download to deliver what we need when we need it. Code splitting, dynamic imports. This is nice. This is not something that, because I don't work on a large product app anymore, that I don't really deal with a ton. Or it's abstracted away from me, like in the sense of Gatsby, where like it's so abstracted that I don't even have to know that dynamic imports are a thing and are happening. So yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. Um, yeah, I like that. I thought that was nice. And this, I would imagine, ties into the Relay 3D, which we talked a little bit about last week.
Good.
And that's the idea of being able to just download code that you need based on the data that's available. So like if you don't have a video, you don't need a video player type thing, right? Like if there's no, depending on the media response. So that's kind of neat. UI skeletons. So this is something that was huge for us at Major League Soccer that I wish more and more apps would adopt. I hate like when something loads and changes its place or location or like when things jump. And like skeletons are a great way to avoid that and set expectations for what the user will see, you know, and where things will be. And it also just helps coders and designers work better together. We call them no data states. Like, what does a component look like when it has no data available? What does a list look like when there's no data in it? And so, I think that it's really cool to see like they're talking about this as like a first class citizen in their when it comes to refactoring and rebuilding Facebook.com. So yeah, something interesting that I liked.
That is cool.
Yeah. Um, so tier one uses regular import syntax. That's cool. So I guess they're using ESM imports, and so then it's only going to pull in what it needs because of ES module import syntax.
Hmm. By the way, regarding skeletons, did you know that I wanted to bring this up because you like skeletons
I
and
love
we're
them.
using
Yeah.
Chakra
Yeah.
in Journey. Chakra has a skeleton component,
I saw.
and yeah, it's really, really nice. It's really easy to use,
Yep.
simple to configure for different sizes, and
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that. Yeah, I saw that and I used it. Where did I use this? I think on Dadbod Fitness Online I used this. But where is it? Skeleton. Yeah, it's really cool. And so like it's just a flashing box, but like it's cool because you can configure things inside of it and then it won't be visible until you set that like it's loaded right here,
Yeah.
which is so neat. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the kind of um, thing that I really like because you can also just this functionality, that is loaded. I guess it's not super hard to define yourself, but you get like a lot of nice things, and you can extend this. You can just wrap it with a styled and style it whichever way you need. So it's
Mhm.
very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, a little bit of a derailment, but worth it. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I like that UI principle, especially because we also like use Storybook a lot, and like Storybook is the type of thing that like really makes you think about the states of a component because you want to map them all out, and then having no data is a state that you will encounter, just like
Hmm.
errors and yeah. But yeah, partial data. Some components might want need to support partial data. It's crazy.
Yep.
Cool. So the tier 2 includes all JavaScript needed to fully render all above the fold content. Should be visually changing as a result of code loading. Yes, that's back to those like skeletons. Yeah, it shouldn't jump around when things load, which is very interesting. And so like when we look at the skeleton, this, and then when it's loaded, we get this, which is basically the same thing. A little different, but basically the same thing. Um, import for display are moved into tier 2. This is trippy. So they have things that like you can import for display, which means it's like high priority, I guess. It's meant to be shown above the fold and gets moved to the tier 2 loading.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that's neat. So even if the content inside is not ready, the action needs to be ready once the promise resolves for the tier 2 uh, like code, that
Hmm.
module. I'm tripping out. Tier 3, there's another
Gotcha.
tier. There's another tier.
How deep does it go? Shit.
Yeah. Includes everything that is only needed after display that doesn't affect the current pixels on the screen, including logging code and subscriptions for live updating data. Import for after display. So you have your
Okay.
standard imports, import for display, and import for after display. So this is
This is not
basically
it's not like standard
this.
ECMAScript, is it? Or is
No,
this is
no.
their own special stuff?
This has got to be their own special thing. This is standard. ECMAScript. This is regular import syntax, and this is what is supported currently in all major browsers aside from like IE 11.
Mhm.
Um, so you can use this anywhere um, for regular ES modules, ESM. But this this is different. This does not
Mm.
exist. So,
You
and
hear
then
that,
neither.
chat? Don't go trying to import for after display. You're gonna have a
Yeah,
bad time.
you will have a bad time unless you implement something in Webpack to handle that. Yeah. And then look at this Composer. Two variations of the same UI, A/B testing. Simplest way to do this is to download both versions for all people, but that would be terrible. It's to use dynamic imports on render, but this can be slow. Instead, in keeping with our as little as possible mantra, we build a declarative API that alerts us to these decisions early and encodes them in our dependency graph. As the page is loading, the server is able to check the experiment and send down only the required version of the code. The
Okay.
infrastructure, yeah, but the infrastructure and like stuff that they have in place is just mind-boggling at times. Like
Hmm.
this is their entire own A/B testing engine that works server side and like dynamically loads code based on which one it hits. It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, where they split static across page loads for that person. Yeah, A/B tests, locales, device classes. Here we go. This is it. Delivering data-driven dependencies. So data-driven dependencies, that's part of the Relay 3D thing. That's Relay 3D. Only when they're needed. So what about code branches that are not static? So what they can do is they check on a post. They have this app module loader that is a looks like inside their relay um, query.
Hmm.
And so then
Yeah, it's
it
almost like a looks like a decorator more
yeah,
than a direct.
yes, it looks more like a decorator. It's interesting. It's so interesting than a directive. Yeah. And so what will happen is if there's no photo data, then it will never load the photo component because it doesn't need it. So that JavaScript will never get pulled down. I'm tripping. This is wild. Oh, I'm just thinking of like all of the products that I've worked on where this would be like really nice to have,
Hmm.
Um, and then same thing with a video, and like this could be extended for anything, you know, any type. It's pretty cool.
It is.
It's pretty cool, right? Like I imagine a live stream setup is different than a standard video or something like that, and you probably need extra code to support it. Or like this could be anything. Like what if a post was of a chart type and you wanted to like set up subscriptions for it or something? I don't know. I'm just like throwing stuff out there, but you could never load that
Yeah,
code and abstract that away and only have to manage it or deal with it if that thing exists on the page.
it's very efficient.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like this is like this is a solution for um and maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but it feels like it's a solution for like Facebook sized problems
Yes.
where
Yes.
a lot of the apps that we build are going to be so focused and so specific that we're not going to need to worry about optimizing for
Yep.
this kind of thing. But for something the size of Facebook, where they're covering a million different use cases, and over the last 10 years, they've just like built out all of these little product arms, um, and this seems like a great way for them to like only load the product arms that are relevant for a
Yeah.
particular screen.
Absolutely. And I can think of like some other places where I think something like this would be really neat and cool. But yeah, I think that unless you're at a scale that becomes like there's a scale versus complexity thing here, right? And it's like the complexity of this system and knowing how to work within it and maintain it is probably very high, but it's worth it because of the save on cost, right? Between like, page load speeds and how many different types of components there can be at their size. Whereas like building playback, let's take playback for example, what would you cut out specifically, right? Like there's probably not a lot that you would end up cutting out, and maybe that'll change as time goes on and it grows and starts having more features. But like yeah, it's like just like what you said. In most cases, it might not be
Yeah.
necessary. The only time where I can differ from that is like where maybe when what you're pulling in is really expensive. And like maybe it just eats up a lot of CPU or memory and you don't want to use it unless you have to. Um, Something like that.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Like ooh, maybe you work in finance and for certain dashboards you can just have the overview, but then if you click details it will actually go fetch that detailed data. Then you could also fetch like the whole freaking rendering thing that you need to display like that more detailed version with hundreds and thousands of nodes and all that fun jazz.
Right, right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very cool. Okay. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so the rest, there's not too much going on here, but using JavaScript budgets to prevent code creep, which is cool. Like I think that this is neat. This is an idea that's been introduced for a while. There's even Webpack plugins that you can install to configure this stuff. So it's still cool. And by having a budget, it does really kind of make you focus on what you're gonna load. Modernizing data fetch to get it as early as possible. So rely on site-used relay and GraphQL. Most fetch data act as part of their server-side PHP rendering. The new site, able to standardize with our mobile apps, ensure that all data fetching goes through GraphQL. Since Relay and GraphQL already handle the as little as possible work for us, we just needed to make some changes to support getting the data we needed as early as possible. So preloading data on initial server requests to improve startup. So with Relay, we know statically the data that the page needs. This means that as soon as our server receives the request for a page, it can immediately start preparing the necessary data, download it in parallel with the required code. We stream this data with the page as it becomes available so the client can avoid additional round trips. Now, this part is interesting to me because, again, I think this might be part of Relay and they might be supporting streaming of data responses as well. I don't really fully understand what's happening here, but it gives me a real HTTP2 vibe where it's like pushing the data down as opposed to having to query for it after the page renders. I don't know. Yeah, streaming
Your guess
data.
is as good as mine.
Yeah, yeah. Additionally, yeah, to solve this, we use an internal GraphQL extension. Well, thank you for answering my questions. Called Stream to stream the feed connection to the client, both for initial load and subsequent pagination on scroll. Each feed story as soon as it's ready. Hey, Max, thank you for joining, and good morning, afternoon to you as well. Hey, it might even be evening depending on where you're at. Yeah.
No, I think it's Max is having a morning along with me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just mean like depending on where you're at, it could be evening
Oh,
as well. Like if you're
general,
in Europe, yeah. Yeah.
certainly.
Okay, deferring data.
That's
That's
good,
not
Max.
needed right away. Yeah, but yeah, we got edges and we got stream. That's cool. So I guess this stream automatically knows to stream down the next 10. Is that the gist?
I
Probably.
guess. Yeah. I mean,
I need more.
I might be a noob, but uh, like it's not immediately obvious to me what it even means for data to be streamed versus just like requested or something.
Yeah.
So when I
So
see that stream there, I'm not like it's a cool word, but it's like what exactly like what's the difference there? What does that mean?
yeah,
Like
that's
does
a.
it mean I get one post gets sent at a time or I don't know.
I think it's less about like one post being sent at a time and more about like when you do like a rest dot send or end, like generally all the data is prepared and like sent at one time. Whereas like you could think of maybe if it's like a file stream, like in Node, where you stream a file from like one source through some things into like another source, and that's just like a transfer of bits as soon as they become available. So like it's common to stream from like one place to S3 or something. I'm not good at explaining this, but it's like instead of waiting and having all of the data at once and then saying, okay, here it comes, it's
Hmm.
every bit that becomes available we send until we're told there's no more to send.
Yeah, and I feel that like I can see how that applies to like a file like streaming a video or streaming audio or something like that. It
Yeah.
seems that seems intuitive, but when I think about streaming a blog, it's like streaming a list of blog posts, for example. Like, what do you do? Yeah, like that to me doesn't seem as like it's not as intuitive in my head. Like I can't think of what like a what 40% of a blog post in a list of blog posts looks like.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I don't know. It's still very weird to me. Oh, Max has brought up Dino, and man, I'm gonna save that. But I've never looked at Dino yet. I am not. I don't even know what the difference is between that and Node. But I know
Let's
they're separate, right?
well, Max, what you said you're not sure how to feel about it yet, but maybe can you tell us more about what you found about it or what
Yeah.
you did? Would love to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. Would love to hear that. Jumping back to this, because I feel like we've kind of like gone through a bunch of this. They also have the defer, which is cool. Like that, I believe was already built in to Relay.
Yep,
Yeah. Which is neat. Like being able to fetch it afterwards. That's cool.
you can do that with Apollo as well.
Yep. 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 Hover event, prefetch code, parallelizing code, and data download. I mean, this is all seems cool, but also the type of thing that I would want to read. And I don't think.
Yeah.
This is pretty neat. This is cool. Route update. Like I get it. You fetch both the data and the code, and then once you have them both, you put them together again, and boom, you have React. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool.
But yeah, definitely would recommend if you're interested in learning how you know the one of the bigger websites out there manages their GraphQL and React code base. Definitely give this a read, and you
Definitely.
know
Yeah.
we've just kind of scratched the surface on here and talked about the things that jump out at us uh, as interesting, um, but there's a lot more detail to go into. So would recommend checking that out.
Oh, absolutely. And Max gave a quick update, and so basically he's saying it's more like a secure node, but you don't have any read-write um, privilege until you grant it specifically.
I
Oh,
see.
and it has like a package manager where you now link with a repo URL. So no package JSON, no node modules, which is
I guess
interesting
you
because
say like import SVGR from SVGR GitHub repo.
I mean I think there's only one way to find out, and maybe at the end here we'll just go do a quick little peek under the hood of Dino, and then see there. But it says yeah, Max says yeah, pretty much just that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
let's yeah. So we'll get through the list. I honestly don't have much more, and then we'll take a look at Dino.
sure.
Um, oh, so this one, I'm going to skip one and then we'll come back to the second. So I just want to go to this first. I just thought that this looked really nice. And I have no other. It does use GraphQL under the hood, but I was just so impressed with the performance and the animations of this. It's using Preact with SSR, element reveal and
Mm.
scroll, and it's using GraphQL for the data. I don't know where or how. There's no link to this, but I just loved this UI.
Yeah. I like the scene transitions.
Yes, me
That's so
too.
cool.
Yeah,
Could you screen that? Full
uh,
screen the video and or
yeah,
oh wait, no, it wouldn't would it work full screen on your machine?
it should.
Because we're capturing like half your desktop.
Yeah, but you can still see it. Very clear.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, that element reveal. I wonder if they're using intersection observer for that.
They could. Yeah, there's also a really nice React hook for intersection observer.
Oh, I bet, which is awesome. And maybe so I'm redesigning the worst.dev and I might consider using something like this for that.
Yeah, looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was very cool. So I thought that was nice. Let me drop the link. Again, just yeah, the fade ins are really nice, right? Yeah. Very little relation to GraphQL, but cool nonetheless. So I figured I would share it. Oh, I
I'm
do have
saving
a
it for
yeah,
future
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a good one. I do have some fun information. We are getting our first Apollo emotes worked on, so they're being designed
Oh,
currently. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So we're gonna figure out how all of that works and get set up for the next tier, which is like not partner. What is it? Uh, starts with an A. So
uh,
affiliate,
uh,
affiliate.
there you go.
Yeah, affiliate. Yeah.
So true, Max. I feel it's
Yes.
like a yearly thing.
Yeah, well, I love to test out new technologies and do things and like so my Gatsby blog has not been updated since MDX like first came out. So I have like MDX versions that are like beta, like before like a version 1 was released, and then there's just like a lot of stuff I've built on top of it. Yeah, and it's just like a hot mess, and so I'm going to be rebuilding it. I'm actually going to be trying out Toast, which is not Gatsby, but
Wow.
a new static sites builder uses Preact and some other stuff. So I'm going to be trying that out. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, a little shout out to Chris Biscardi on that one. He's the creator of Toast. Let me go get the. And I still use Gatsby for like a lot of things. So I'm not trying to say like down with Gatsby and up with Toast. I think they both have use cases. I think one thing that I'm drawn towards about Toast for my personal site is just the simplicity. Um, I'm actually looking for a framework that enforces me to be more simple about my design and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I can't wait. Snowpack really intrigues me, and ES modules and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how all this works. But yeah, very
Cool.
cool. Check it out. Give it a go. Let me know what you think. Yeah, and then let's see
It's
what else. Oh, go ahead.
in the README he mentions that the current stability status is somewhere
Yes.
between a and a YOLO,
Yeah.
which I like a lot.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's funny. Cool. YOLO. Yes. I love that the emotes work in the React app. That I was able to get that working so quick. It was not
Yeah,
easy to do.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the way it comes back is if a message has emotes in it and they're able to use the emote, it will have the emote code and the lines in the message string that you should replace.
Okay.
But it'll have an array. So for each emote used, if you use YOLO, then some text, then YOLO, then
Oh,
some text, it has an object with the key of the code for the emote and then an array of all the places where you need to update it in the string. So what I do, because also once you replace a string, that throws off all the other line numbers for all the other emotes. So you have to pull all of them out. Did you get the Twitch OAuth flow down? No, I did not. I'm going to drop the most useful link in the world into the chat right now, but I use twitchtokengenerator.com. And you could generate an OAuth token and save that in your refresh token, and then you're good to go. Yeah, I'm not doing the OAuth thing stuff on my own. I'm just using a token that is embedded as like a environment variable. If I wanted to, I could get fancy, add the refresh token, get a new access token on every server startup, but I don't, right now I don't think that's needed. Yeah, that's the pro tip for today is like don't do your own OAuth flow for the love of everything. But yeah, so that's how I'm handling the OAuth flow, and now Having a token makes it working with the Twitch API a lot better. And if you don't like using third-party services, definitely like do your research because you are creating OAuth tokens. But even the documentation on the Twitch API recommends this other more shady looking token generator. So I went with the one that I like read up, did some research, went through the forums, and that seems to be the one that most people use. So yeah, yep. And
Good
you can
stuff.
get very you can get very specific about the what properties you give it. They just have a toggle for each scope, so it's very easy to use. Yeah, that's what I'm using. It works great. So yeah. All right. Oh yeah. So last thing on my list, I only have one more, uh, and I saved it because we just did one deep article. I didn't want to hit us with another back to back, but this was a good read. Let me drop the link in the chat. So Mark Andre at it again, always doing some awesome stuff. So the post is a snippet out of production ready GraphQL. I haven't read it yet. I've purchased it, but I'm dying to read it. I just have two books in front of it first. But something that is like still even confusing to me today is as far as like when I want to use a union type as opposed to when I want like an interface. And this article just goes into very great detail about these types of abstract types, when you want to use each type, most likely, and what the differences are, and how to avoid some like little pitfalls that you can get yourself into. So I thought it was really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, and a solid read. Yeah, I feel like types are very powerful. Also, you can create your own types, and I think the more that you know and understand about types, the more powerful GraphQL can get for you. And you could do a lot of very interesting thing with types. So yeah, it's cool. But yeah, so yeah, like interfaces allow for a bit more flexible of a typing, whereas a union type can be a part of like more than one type, essentially, right? Like a choice between types. And I think that people often go to union first because it's the one that's generally more talked about, and forget that there's something else that exists. Um,
I see.
yeah.
I've never used
So
Twitter for full disclosure.
yeah, yeah. And again, I feel like in a lot of cases, you might not ever hit a situation where you need to switch on types or have different types, but sometimes you might. And again, especially getting into these big, more complex apps that cover multiple domains, and there's like chances where different, like you might have a user, but then you also have like a sales lead, that you also have like a something else, and they all have the same properties on them, right? And so now how do you define them? Do you choose to go a union where they have to be one of these specific types of users, and you have to account for that on the client, on user, on sales lead, on whatever, right? Like customer support, you know, ticket user, whatever the user types are, versus having an interface that defines those types, but then you don't have to do like such a specific on them, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna after we get off today, I'm gonna give this post a read and try to wrap my head around this.
Yeah, it's definitely a great read, and it will open up your kind of GraphQL typing foo. Just another thing to add to the tool belt, you know, and to think about, and might one day solve a problem for you. The things I love about these is like, what is the problem it's solving? And then I store it away. And then when I hit the problem, I'm like, oh, that's right. Mark Andre released that article about abstract types. I should go dive in there and see if this will help me out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and this is all I got. This is it for me for today. I feel like that was a lot of fun stuff we covered.
that was. I enjoyed that. Some really cool information. Some longer form reading that we can all probably follow up on
Yeah,
afterwards. But I enjoyed it, man.
yeah, a little bit of fun UI stuff. Getting to check out the new uh, React scenes for OBS. That was fun. That was so fun. It's good to see it
Hmm.
working. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty chill.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely stood the test of stream number one.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
So now we
darn
just,
well, I got to
yeah,
say.
yeah. So now we just got to figure out how to improve this and what more fun stuff we can do with it. But yeah, opens up the door for a lot. Cool. I guess if anyone from the chat has anything, now would be a good time to share it. And while we see if anyone's getting any links, I just want to look at Dino super fast.
Yeah, let's do it.
I am interested. So let's check. Aw, that is the cutest. It looks like the Loch Ness Monster. First of all, let's give them a star. Yeah, no problem, Max. Thank you for joining us. We love having you here. We hope you like the new layout because we made some changes. You get to see
Mhm.
our
Bye,
faces
man.
much larger. Yeah. You want to know the funny thing is with this layout change, our videos are so much larger, but the desktop, the screen share, like the display capture, is the exact same size that it was before.
Hmm.
It's all about use of space. Yeah. Oh yeah. What am I doing? Getting distracted. Website. Okay, let's blow this up a little bit. Well, this is how to install it. Example, Dino run. Whoa. What is this? So you could just run any like thing from the web. That's mind-boggling right now. That's the first thing that I'm reading that's blowing my mind. Let me share this link. Okay. All right. So we've got um, import serve from HTTP server.typescript. First of all, so I guess first class
You can
support for
import
TypeScript.
TypeScript.
You can
Cool.
import directly from the code from anywhere on the web. Mind-boggling because they're just importing this right from a website
Hmm.
and then run it like it's anything else.
That's
408
interesting.
const rec of s. So for every request that comes through, it's just going to respond with this. My mind is a little blown right now.
And as Max pointed out, the same person who wrote Dino is also one of the authors of Node.
Oh crap.
Which is not this is not the first time something like this has happened.
Nope.
If you've been in web development for long enough, you'll remember
IO
IO. Yeah,
IOJS. Yeah,
yeah.
how could you forget
Which
that?
eventually the end result of IO was that the project got folded into
Yep.
the Node code base.
And
So they
pushed.
kind of like
Yeah.
became one.
Yeah, and it
And
pushed
yeah,
a
I,
lot of changes in Node.
yes,
Yeah.
would be cool to see what happens with this in that regard.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So I'm definitely going to dig in later. I think I'll spare it for right now,
Yeah,
but I definitely want to run something on this and try it out. And I know Begin is already supporting Dina. So
cool.
if you want to
Look at
actually
that.
deploy something in it, pretty sure somewhere they say they support Dino. I could have swore. Maybe I'm making it up. But go look for it. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, but like with that, I think that's about all I've got. Um,
Cool.
yeah. It doesn't seem like we have anything from chat, so I guess like we could talk about what we got coming up this week and maybe look for someone to see if there's somebody we can raid.
I've got a raid on deck here. Let's talk about what's coming up, and then
Yeah,
yeah, we can wrap.
I love it. So let's see. This week we got mission briefing coming up this Wednesday. I want to say that's going to be at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and actually Dom Demetrius Clark is going to come on, and we're going to look at
Thanks.
yeah some GraphQL and image handling stuff with Cloudinary. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that one. We've got Launchpad coming back Thursday. We've been gone 2 weeks. Last week I was not feeling well. Week before that we had Space Camp, but I'm ready to get back onto Journey and start building that out. We've made some good progress. I can't wait to finish that one up. Yeah, and I think that's about it. Some personal stream stuff I'll probably be doing on the worst.dev redesign and rebuilding it. But yeah, other than that, that's about the biggest things I've got coming up this week. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my regular Wednesday stream. Um, we might be
Web
working
Dev
on
Wednesday.
payback, or I'm more likely going to be doing another pair programming stream with my friend Ken. We're going to be working on
Nice.
a SMS based wait list.
I
And
love
and
that.
speaking of which, we're planning on doing another session on that today.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, well, I still have to coordinate with him, but look for that later
Yeah.
on my channel. If you're into WebSockets and
Heck
Twilio and
yeah.
React, we'll be touching on all those fun things. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to mention too the mission briefing last week was really cool. It was with our
Yes.
own Ellen Shapiro, the mobile developer at Apollo. If you missed that, I would recommend that you go check out the VOD. Or can they find the VOD on YouTube
It will
or
be on YouTube actually later today. And yeah, but it's on Twitch and it will be up on YouTube later for Shizzle. Yeah.
so yeah, can't recommend that enough. It was a really cool episode, and yeah, Ellen is great as well.
Second to none. She was so much fun to have on. I could have done that all day long. Yeah, and like I have very like basically no experience with iOS, and we got an iOS app spun up, and we're querying for data with GraphQL in very little time. It was cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
I enjoyed it, and I think chat will as well. For the record, I'm not an iOS developer, so I was watching along with like zero understanding of like the
Yeah.
the the actual um, the language or anything like that, and it was still really interesting for me.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure you similar boat, right?
It was so much fun to build in a language that I don't write with all the time and to have someone guide me through it. And I will say one thing that say what you want about like Xcode and type languages, but because we were working in Swift and we were within Xcode, the autocomplete is like second to none in IntelliSense. So it's like basically the app codes itself, and you just have to hope you pick the right like constructor or function call. But yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
Oh, that is
Pillar says
awesome. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
they
Yeah.
got type policies working nicely to specify key fields and to reference client queries based on that. Nice job, Pillar. Love to hear that.
Yeah, that is super awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know it converted the hearts to emotes as well. Look at that. Even that worked. Nice.
Very
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, so I guess with that, we can get our raid on, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let me try this. We're going to raid Eddie Blue and their. Oh, I don't have permission to perform an action. I'll
Oh,
send
we'll
you
have to
the.
fix that. I thought I sent you moderator, but maybe that still doesn't have the right permissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, just send it to me. So I see it coming through in Skype. It says you're typing. There we go. Cool. Okay, so I'll take care of this. We'll get that fixed so that you can do that in the future. All right, but we are
Cool.
starting the
Well,
raid. Oh,
let's
go
do
ahead.
it. Yeah. Enjoy Eddie Blue, aka include JS, and they're just talking about web development, much like we are today.
Awesome. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see you all over there. Thank you for tuning in again today. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
There we go.
Awesome.